Well, hello, folks. This is the video for August the 1st, 2017, and the title is A Pissed Off Saint. And as you can see, I have a young lady here with me. Her name is Yola, also known as Suma Noor. How do you say that? Noor.
Noor, yeah.
And she has quite a story to tell, and I'm going to let her do most, maybe all the talking. We'll just see how it flows. I might interrupt and ask a question or make a comment here and there, but mostly I'm going to let her just talk about her story because it's quite amazing. Yola, please go ahead.
Hi, Ron. Thank you for having me over. Well, I wrote my story into a book and I called it A Pissed Off Saint. And a lot of people think it is negative, but really the reason I called it A Pissed Off Saint because when I was writing the words, when I was writing the book, I will go in the woods and I will write. And I reached to a point where I sent a letter to my parents and I said, please come help me, get me out of this place. And I'll tell the story in a little bit. But at that point, I cried. Before, I never cried. But when I received the letter back, it said, you have to stay with your husband. You can't leave him. Jesus died for us. You have to stay with him for our own sake. We can't have people talk bad about us. So I said, give me a break. I feel like a pissed off saint. And this is where the name of the book comes from. And I kind of wiped it off and I said, no, I cannot do that. This is the name of my book. Because if you don't get angry, you really don't overcome what you're going through in life.
I hope you explain the details of why that's so important, because a lot of people still don't get it.
Yes, it is so important because, in the beginning of my life, I was in shame. I was a little girl and my mom will always say, I was little, maybe 4 or 5 years old, and hear my mom say, oh, this girl is so ugly. No man will ever marry her. So, I grew up thinking I had no self-esteem. She took my self-esteem away. So I was in shame. And so in the war, in the middle of the war, we're talking in Lebanon, I was 14 years old. I was taken from school. I was told that my mom is sick, but by the time I got to the car, there were men, I don't even know who they are, and they were taking me to get married. I was 14 years old. And the woman that went asking for me, she was pregnant. And she said to me, she said, if you don't go, they'll put me in jail and my husband will kill your father and your brother. So I was scared. I was 14 years old. So eventually I got married and came to the islands. In the book, it is Antigua. And I was really treated very cruelly. I was locked and beaten up and starved. And I end up with a baby. And I don't want to leave him. He will come in the middle of the night and take me, push me on the floor, kick me, beat me. I want you to leave. Well, the whole story is in the book. We don't want to get in detail. But the thing is, I want to get out. And I couldn't without the baby. And my parents, Jesus died for us, so they're not willing to help because they don't want people to talk about them, So, and our culture is not an easy culture. But at that time, I was in shame because I did leave. I did leave and went back to Lebanon to get my green card. The American embassy got bombed, but I was treated really bad. I was in shame. I didn't feel like nothing. And shame is the lowest energy you can be at. We measure shame with 20 compared to anger, 150. When you're angry, you are able to get those emotions out and channel it out. The thing is, you don't want to be stuck in it, You have to channel it out. But I end up in Lebanon being with another man who saw how my mom resented me, who could see the whole thing and what is going on. And he took advantage because he know I'm waiting for papers to get to the United States, and maybe he wanted to come to the United States. And he was involved in a party. He put the gun in my daughter's head, who was 4.5 at that time. He said he's going to blow up her head right in front of my eyes if I don't stay with him. So, life is one thing after another. What a proposal, you're right. But at that time, it was so hard. I mean, I was so done. I was so done. I just want to die. Many times I want to kill myself. He was so control freak. He's such a narcissist that he will tie my daughter up and beat her till she turned red and blue. And if I say anything, he will beat her more. If I cry, he beat her more. If I turn away, he'll beat her more. So, I learned to just shut down and have no emotions whatsoever. And Ron, I want to say something to the listeners. This story is not just my story. I didn't write my story for me. I wrote my story for so many women out there and men. It's only after the book came out, I realized it is not just women, it is men too. So a lot of men go through so much abuse, but men don't deal with it like we do. Men are stronger in the fight, and women are not as strong, especially when we come from a culture everything goes wrong is the woman's fault, So it is hard. So the book is not just for women, it is for men too, because men need to know how women feel. And the book is more, it's real emotions, it's raw emotions. I was in so much shame that I want to kill myself for so many years. But when I start to heal, I want to share my story because I realize I'm not at that low energy anymore. I don't want to please nobody no more. I don't care. I'm not a victim no more. And I want to move on in life. And I became a woman empowerment life coach. And for that reason, I decided I'm going to write my story. And it is written with so much emotion, I got an interview with John Black. John Black, he's a writer for, I forgot which magazine it was. And he read the book and he said, I thought this book will be for women, not for men. He said, but I have to tell you, there are so many things that I connected with what you're saying. So emotions are emotion. It has nothing to do with men or women, We all have the same emotions, We just more of women are more, the sensitive, the feminine side, which is more sensitive, than men. And we fall into it, and men are, they learn to be macho, not to speak about their emotions. But there is nothing more important than to speak about our emotions, because this is when we heal. This is when we heal, and the whole world needs to know that, So the battle started with my mother. My whole life is a life, it's the journey for self-love, I had to learn to love myself, and I went through a lot of horrible things to get to that point, because nobody really raised my self-esteem. A lot of us are told, or we ugly, or we stupid, or this or that. It is not just me, And my mom did that to me. Plus, at the same time, when I got divorced, oh my gosh, I was looked at like the most horrible person. I was only 19 years old, I was still a kid. And so I was, my self-esteem was so low, so low. And this is why I end up with another bad situation, This is why. Anyway, time passed. We came to the United States, and I had a baby with my second husband. I was 2 months pregnant. and we were living in the same state as my parents. Well, we first were in Boston, and then we moved to be close to them. And um, my daughter, the oldest one, who was 12 years old then, she said, Mom, there is a movie. There is a show tonight with Oprah Winfrey, and she has three abused women that left their husbands on that show. Why don't we sit and watch it? She was not even 12 yet, close to 12. And I said, okay, but at that time I was done. I used to pray every night to die. How many of us pray to die? I mean, this is horrible. Many people pray to die, not just me. Many people kill themselves. Many people, I want to kill myself, but then I think of my kids. Who's going to take care of them? If I'm my parents' daughter and they treat me this way, who's going to take care of my kids, you know? So I couldn't do it. I couldn't leave the kids. And many time the idea when people kill themselves and their kids, I understand what they're feeling, because that emotion is so horrible. It's a horrible, horrible, low emotion. Nobody understands. So don't run to judge. I'll tell everybody, do not run to judge, because it is the worst thing we do as a human being. We judge the situation right away.
We condemn people.
Yeah, you don't know what people going through. And anytime I try to tell somebody what I'm going through to help me from the family, my uncle, wife, or this or that, and you know what they say to me? Well, stop doing what you do, and then he will not beat you up. So I had no other way. But years and years passed, and I never cried. I don't have no emotion. I was dead, just dead, And one day, when we saw Oprah Winfrey show, my daughter stood up and she looked at me and she said, Mom, if you're not gonna leave this man for you, me, and my sister, you have to leave this man for this baby in your belly. And at that moment, I snapped. I packed, I left to a shelter, which Oprah left a number, 1-800-333-SAFE. I don't know if it worked no more, but I called it and they told me what to do. And I ended up going there. It's a longer story, but you guys, if people want to know, they'll read it in the book, But I got in there and I didn't know what to do. I just didn't know what to do. I have no money because I used to work, and he'll make me sign the check and put it in his account. Now, people will say, well, why would you let him do that? When you are so beaten up and so much in fear, you will do anything to survive. See, many people don't understand, and it's like, why will she stay with him? Many people, after they read my book, they'll say, well, why did you go back? Why did you do this? Why didn't you do that? Well, you don't understand. Get yourself into the emotions that I was in, and many other women in. How many women just settle because they are in fear? They are in fear. And narcissist people, they brain dead you. You just have no, you cannot think no more. So anyway, to make the story short, I called my mom. I called my parents. My mom answered. I said, I just want you to know I am in a shelter and we are okay. And she said, just pack yourself and get out of the state. We don't want you around us. He keep calling us. Pack yourself and leave. So where am I gonna go? I contacted my church and they helped me. They put me on a bus. I went to Boston, but I had no money. I got there. I called shelters. Nobody will take me in. I'm not sure why. They said it is full. But I don't know if they thought, oh, I'm just looking for a place to stay, So I called my old bishop and I said, so is the story. I just want somebody to give me a room, not a room, a garage, their garage. I don't care. I don't need a bed. I don't need nothing. We will stay in that garage. Just give me a week. We'll find a place to get to. My bishop came downtown Boston to the main bus station, picked us up and put us in their home. And let me tell you, this is the beginning to a wonderful life after that, because I had to speak. They ask me what's happened, and I start to tell them. And before I finish the story, his wife is a nurse. She ends the story, you know. And I'm thinking, this is the first time in my life somebody know what I'm going through without me saying anything. And I end up one day after a month, I just broke down. I haven't cried forever, and I bawled and I bawled. And I couldn't stop. And my kids were scared, and they hugging each other, and they were crying. And I couldn't even get up to say anything to them. This is my first opportunity that I'm crying, you know. And the woman came down and she hugged the kids, and she said, honey, don't worry, mommy is healing. Don't worry, let's go and celebrate. We're gonna leave her and let her heal, and we're gonna go and celebrate, and I'm gonna take you for ice cream. And she took my kids and gone, and I just kept crying. I thought she's gonna kick me out because I'm making my kids cry. But this is how burnt I was. This is how brutally abused I was, you know, because anything I used to think everybody is going, because I thought whatever I do is no good. Everybody wanna crush me down, you know. So anyway, she said, well, we're gonna decide what you're gonna do. And I said, I always wanna be a cardiologist. I said, but how can I? I have no money. I have no home. I have 2 kids. I'm pregnant. How am I going to be a cardiologist? She said, well, maybe you can't be a cardiologist, but you can be something else. What about a nurse? Oh, no, I don't want to be a nurse. She said, what about a hygienist? I thought about it. I said, you know, that might work. And she said, okay, you're going to have your GED. I said, what's a GED? And she said, high school diploma. I said, no. I bought a high school diploma. I am not going to school. I'm going straight to college. And she said, well, how can you go to college? You were 14 years old. You are 28 years old now. How? You can't go to college. You need to have your GED. I said, no, I am not wasting time. I'm going straight to college. She said, okay, we'll have a deal. I'll set you up to take the test. If you pass, you'll go. If you didn't pass, you have to get your GED. Well, it makes sense, right? So I said, okay. So she set me up for the test, and I got 86%. How I got it, I don't know. My English was very poor at that time. You know, I think there was a higher, a higher divine that was working with me. Because most of the stuff I'm reading, some words I can't understand. I only have certain time to take it. My English wasn't that well. My brain is just been dead, you know. I just was surviving. I wasn't thinking, I just was surviving. So I couldn't think. I couldn't understand. But I got 86%. 86%, this is close to 90, yeah? Close like B plus, right? Yes, B. So I'm like, wow, I can go to college. And I did. And I became a dental hygienist. The thing is, I met this dentist, and he was very nice man. My kids loved him. The thing is, my intuition was pushing him away, but I didn't realize that. But I always wanted to please my mother, because my mother, something about me, she resisted, and I wanna please her somehow. And she loved this man. So I said, okay, to marry him. And I married him. The kids grew, and he molested my kids. So, you know, life up to that point, I just want to die. But my kids are grown by now. My oldest was 18, and then I have a 14, 15-year-old, an 8, and a 4, you know. And So here I am working, taking care of the kids, and a patient came and said, I want to give you a DVD. I want you to see it. And I said, okay. She said, please promise me you'll see it. I said, I promise you, I'll watch it. So I brought it home. It was The Secret. And that what changed my life. I looked at it. The Secret doesn't have everything in it, the real truth, because the truth is to get your emotion, your heart, and your mind in balance together, right? If you can get that, then you really can attract anything you want. This is the harder part, right? and the harder part is to get rid of, to heal it through the lower emotion, which is the shame, the blame, the victim, the anger, to get to that point of happiness and joy and love. So anyway, I watched that movie, and from there on, I start to listen to a spiritual speaker online, and it's just beautiful. My life, and I just shared the healing process, which is beautiful, because I didn't even realize what was happening. I just was following what's coming to me, And every time I moved on to something bigger show up, something bigger show up. And when I was writing the book, I really realized at that moment that things were in order. First, I found a holistic doctor because my body was falling apart. So I healed that part, and then I start to get into the spiritual journey. So my brain was thinking better. I was feeling good, and the healing started. I was like a sponge. I stopped connecting to anybody. I just want to come home, put my headphones, and listen to somebody speaking, and learning, just learning. It was beautiful. But when I was young, I was good in school. And this is something very, very important. The only thing that kept me going through this journey is my math teacher. My math teacher said, ask the whole class, what do you want to be? I was the only one who wanted to be a doctor, not just a regular doctor. I want to be a cardiologist. And I remember him putting his finger like this. He said, Yola, if anybody in this whole world can do it, it is you. And all the time I went through things, I remembered his words. The time I want to die, I remembered his words. The time where I just want to disappear, I remembered his words. And that kept me going. And I think this is very important to point for all of us to know, to really, when you see somebody struggling, find something good to uplift them. I don't care what they're going through. Don't jump to judgment. The first thing to do is find something good to uplift them, to make them feel good about themselves. Because if you can do that, you don't know what you're doing. Just one word this man said, and that kept me going through all the struggle that I went through, Two things I want to share, which is important, and I know we come in very close. The struggle with my mother. And we all have a struggle with a parent, with somebody that hurt us. But go back to the people who first took that power away from you. And the one who took my power away was my mother, by saying, I'm so ugly, no man will ever want me, right? So I had to go there, plus the resentment, the pain that come with that for so many years. But I never gave up. I kept going. Every weekend I'll go to see my parents. It doesn't matter. If I didn't live close, I will call them a couple times a week. We grew up, families stick together. So here I am. And the Bible said, honor your mother and your father. So I never gave up on that. But when I went to coach in a school, and I was studying quantum physics, and I start to understand how the energy works. And at this point, all what I'm interested in is healing myself, right? I just want to heal myself. And when I realize how the energy work, I realize I have a big part in that. Whatever my mom resisting in me is causing me to resist on the other side.
Remember your story.
Yes, this is the most important part. I heard, I think Joe Vitale or something like that, his name. He was talking about Ho'oponopono, and I said, I got to do Ho'oponopono. So I said 2 weeks in meditation every morning and every night to put in my mother in front of me. I'll tell you, in the beginning, I, I kind of resented it a bit, right? But I didn't. I had to. I had to stay focused on it. Eventually, I start to understand what the words mean, right? And my whole concern is for me to heal. This is it. So I went after 2 weeks to see my parents. I got up. I got up to their place. They have Arabic music and the song I love. And here I am belly dancing around the room and singing the song. And my mom said, Gashikata. And she said, I wish your brothers and sister are as a quarter like you. I was shocked. I'm looking to heal myself. I turned around and she said, yes, not a quarter of a quarter, a quarter of a quarter of a quarter of a quarter, because there is nobody in this whole world can go through what you've been through and have the smile you have, and you always happy and you always smiling. Nobody can do that. So, forgiveness is not just for us. It is for us to let go of whatever we hold in on our shoulders, because we are a part of it, right? We are part of it. But it helps us, excuse me, it cleared the way for others to heal. It is so important. It's not just us. I realized at that moment, I didn't just heal me. I healed my mother because she let go. And I was 45 years old then. This is 9 years ago. My mom got up the first time in her life. She hugged me, kissed me, 1, 2, 3. She said, I love you. I was in shock. I was in shock. So, and what caused that is the journey to self-love. Self-love is not, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to buy that and I'm going to do my nail and I'm going to fix my hair and I'm going to do what I want and I don't care what anybody is going to do. It has nothing to do with that. Self-love is learning to heal ourselves, because when we heal ourselves, we heal in so many people around us, not just ourselves, even unconsciously. Most of the time, we don't know it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And then you get to a point where you realize when you're just ready to judge, you stop and you think, why? Something else causing that person to do this and this. So you know what? It's beautiful. The journey to self-love is amazing. My book is on my website, samanur.com. And you can put it right in there when you put the, and it's it's an ebook and it is an audio book. So either way, anybody would like to read it. It is not just my story. It's your story too. It's everybody's story,
Yeah, we've all been abused.
Excuse me. I think we all been through so much in life. But this is the only way we can step up on that map of consciousness, This is the only way.
And get to love, get beyond the anger to love.
Is the love. Because the map of consciousness, it starts with shame, and it go up all the way to love, to joy, to ecstasy, That's awesome. This is where you want to be. Now, it requires a lot of work on ourselves to get there, But I'm happy just being in love and enjoy. Life moves smoothly and you don't have all this weight on your shoulder and all this hate and anger and resentment holding you behind, you know. And you will find that the people, you attract the people to you because people want to know what you have, you know, want to know why you are this way, you know. It helps so many people around you. You heal yourself. I changed the culture. I changed everything for my ancestors because from now on, it is not going to be the same like it used to be for women in my in my ancestor, in my line, you know?
Mm-hmm. The world has to go through the process of changing, and being angry at how we've been treated for so long is certainly to me, it's the first step we have to take. We
Right.
can't just give blanket forgiveness to everybody.
Right.
And the abusers, they have to wake up too.
Right.
But the
Right.
abused are the ones that have to lead the way. Those that are last need to become first, and it needs to be inverted.
Right, right. It is it's a beautiful process, and maybe some people don't understand it because they're not there yet, but they will, you know. And the most beautiful thing is to work on yourself. Self-love is the most important thing. Work on yourself, heal yourself, and then you start to see where everybody is struggling. People don't even need to speak. People don't even need to say anything, you know. So it is amazing. I don't think we have time, or I will share the story.
Oh, we'll do another video.
Yeah, yeah.
We've gone over the half hour. I know when I get
Yes.
really long videos, I normally don't want to take time to watch them.
I know. I know.
And so I try to limit my own videos to 10 minutes now, and I try to do the interview things to 30 minutes.
Good. Let's see. You guys write down if you saw the whole video, will you? I hope this is interesting because the good part came at the end, you know. Yeah.
Well, we plan to do another one within the next couple of weeks or so. So
Okay.
thank you, Yola. I really
Oh, thank you, Ron. You take care.
And namaste.
Namaste.